This podcast is for you if you want to learn about the wonderful and wacky world of the English language and the people who speak it. If you want to learn English, speak English, and understand different speakers of English, then you're in the right place and you're going to love our podcast episode today. Welcome to English World with Kris Amerikos. We are a team of language lovers, expert teachers, and native speakers who are on a mission to help people around the world speak English and show the world their true value. We correct mistakes, practice pronunciation, and explore grammar rules while drinking coffee and having fun. So get comfortable, relax, grab a pen and paper, and welcome to the show. Today's episode is brought to you by English Every Day, an unlimited speaking practice program where you can join live speaking practice lessons with professional native teachers 5 times every day. There are a lot of courses on the internet and a lot of useful videos too, but the one thing that is missing for most English learners is practice. And if you need speaking practice, then English Every Day is for you. So click the link in the description or go to krisamerikos.com to learn more today. All right, so we're here with Daniel Crook, and Daniel is from Australia. Daniel and I have known each other a long time, but I still don't know if I pronounce his last name correctly. If it's Crook or Crook?
Crook. Perfect, Crook.
You know, we've worked together on a lot of different projects, and so we've known each other for a while. I even went down to Argentina and met up with Daniel, and that was so much fun. He showed me the best time. And Daniel, for everyone who's just getting here and just meeting you, how did you get to Argentina? You're not from there originally, right?
I'm not from there originally, correct, Kris. I'm actually from Australia, near Sydney. And I got here about 10 years ago. I've been living here for 10 years. And I was, after university, I had to make a choice about, like, when I was teaching secondary school, I wanted to travel because basically I was teaching at secondary school there, and I didn't really like it. I was teaching languages. I was teaching Italian to 14-year-old boys, and they were crazy. They were out of control, and I wasn't enjoying myself. I thought to myself, as I came home at 5 p.m., closed the door and sat down in front of my computer, there must be more to life than this routine. Like, then there's got to be, like, this can't be my life. So anyway, a few days later, my friend called me out of the blue. His name's James, a good friend from school. He works for the Qantas Airlines, the Australian airline. And he said, "Daniel, would you like to go to South America?" And I said, "Man, I've just started teaching." He said, "Oh, okay, but remember, Daniel, I work for Qantas. You could be my buddy where you get 90% discount when you fly."
90%.
And I was like, 90%. So instead of paying $2,000, $3,000, you pay $200, and you can book as many as you want. So as I said, "Man, sorry, I'm committed to my job, to teaching, like in a secondary school, which I just started." And I hung up the phone. I thought, wait a second, this is a great opportunity here. And I called him back up and said, "Hey, man, I'm in. I can come. So basically we flew to South America. We went to Carnival, Brazil. And that was always a dream of mine, which was so much fun. And then we went to Colombia. And then he went to Jamaica. I went to Seattle to visit my sister. And then I came down to Mexico, Cancun. And then before going back to Australia, I thought I'll just pop down to Buenos Aires for 2 days and see what it's like. Because, the flights were like $50, $90 from Cancun. I thought, I'll check it out for 2 days. Anyway, get to Buenos Aires. It's okay. Didn't think of it that great, to be honest. I'd like to hear your opinion too about that, Kris, when you first got there.
I loved it.
But did you really? Yeah, because people really build it up. Like, it's like the Paris of Europe. It's the most beautiful city in South America. Like, but when I got there, I was like, it's a bit dirty, just cluttered, like a normal big city. I was a bit disappointed, to be honest with you. But anyway, one morning, Saturday morning after clubbing, I met this German guy. We're having a coffee on the corner. And I saw a beautiful girl walk past me at the corner of my eye. What did I do? I jumped up, sprinted towards her, and said, "Excuse me, do you speak English? And she says, a little bit. I said, you are absolutely beautiful. What's your name? And I just started asking her questions, and she was like, I said, can we go for a drink? Went for a drink. We met up that night, and we like in this big plaza. She came in this white dress. It was like a dream come true. We sat down in the plaza. There was a couple dancing tango. We ordered a bottle of champagne. I had this model sitting in front of me, gorgeous Argentinian girl. And I thought, my God, this is a dream. I'm in Argentina. I'm with a beautiful girl. This is perfect. She said, Daniel, I'm going back to Cordoba tomorrow. And I was like, oh, okay. And as I walked into the taxi and gave her a kiss, the first kiss, I said, can I come with you to Cordoba? So then I followed her, basically. We went on the bus to Cordoba together.
Wow.
And that's the start of the whole thing. So unfortunately, it's a sad ending, and we only lasted 1 month. A lot of people ask that question. So what happened with the girl? We lasted 1 month, but I found a job teaching English, and that's how it all started, Kris. A long answer to your question. Yeah.
No, so it's great that you're able to connect this love story with Argentina with this element of falling in love, and it really happened like that. And so maybe those feelings transferred from that first girl who you met over to the country or the city, and you started to feel some emotion, similar emotion, right?
Yeah, that excitement, and I suppose carried on to the feeling I have here in Argentina. Like it's such a different vibe here, and I feel at home kind of here. I'm sure you know what I mean, Kris. Like everyone's so friendly, and they're so transparent. They're very passionate. They give you a hug when they meet you for the first time. In Australia, it's like, hello, very distant people. Like probably similar in the US, I think, Kris, right?
You're lucky if you get a handshake. They're like,
exactly.
Hey, Kris, this is Mike. Hey.
Oh my God. And you're not exaggerating. That's what really.
I mean, sometimes, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Some people are,
yeah.
Hey, nice to meet you. And some people are like, hey.
Yeah. That shocks me. This connection and this feeling of interaction, feeling this connection with people is, for me, priceless. And that's what I love. And that's what keeps me going every day. And that's what I just, everyone asks me, Kris, why are you here? Because of the economy, the corruption, the politicians, it's all, everyone complains about it all. And it's dangerous sometimes to walk on the phone, like if you walk in the street with your phone and things like that. But I always tell them, it's the people. The people are so friendly and so kind. Yeah. I love the people here. That's why I stay.
I think that people feel that from your energy too.
Okay.
No, I think a lot of the like I had a great time when I was in Argentina, and I only have a really good impression of Argentina. To be honest, I think it is a little dangerous, but I feel like a lot of the positive impressions that I got were because I was in your proximity, and your positivity just spreads. It's contagious, and when you're around that, you just get swept away into this wave of positivity and let's go do it.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Cool. Yeah, I'm so happy here, to be honest with you. Yeah, in Cordoba, Argentina.
Things that people are challenged with when they come from like an English speaking country to Argentina, because you've probably met a lot of foreigners there and seen how some people can deal with it and some people can't. And what are some of the struggles that you've seen?
Yeah, everyone, the foreign people that I meet here, they always say the same thing. They've got the same problems. They get a 3-month travel tourist visa, and then they have to leave the country and come back in order for it to be valid, and to basically stay in the country. You have to leave, or you can just pay a fine, and that means you can stay as long as you want and just pay a fine, which translates to be about $30-40 US dollars to pay the fine. So it's not a lot at all.
So and most people basically go that way and probably just pay the fine and stay however long they want.
No, Kris, you'll be surprised. a lot of people are petrified of that idea of breaking the law and having to pay the fine. So everyone's, no, I have to travel because that's the legal way. Because in our countries, as you know, Kris, it's hugely, very, very strict. If you break a visa, like the rules in Australia, you get deported. USA too. So everyone comes with the idea, I have to do it exactly the right thing. But in my experience, I've done it a lot. I paid the fine many times, and I've had no problems at all. So my recommendation, if you're traveling here, do what you just said, Kris. Pay the fine. There's no need to travel out of the country. So that's one of the big challenges that they face. The second one is if they want to open a bank account, that's really hard. And there's lots of steps. You have to go to the immigration. You have to have, there's like 3 different ways you can do it. You can marry someone. You can get sponsored by a company. And the third one is, I think you can study. Yeah, you can study. But there's lots of different ways to do it. There's lots of bureaucracy, lots of different hoops you have to jump through. But another way, Kris, if you trust someone here, and you can make it work, like if you've got a good friend that you can trust. I've had a friend that helped me in the beginning. He put the bank account in his name. I know this sounds absolutely crazy to some people, but if you trust someone, like it worked really well in the beginning. He just went to the bank, opened the account, gave me the card, gave me the PIN. Simple.
Yeah.
But obviously, it's a trust thing. Yeah.
So I guess this is the part where I have to say, disclaimer, this is not financial advice.
Exactly. Maybe we can edit that part out.
Yeah. So
true.
We're not liable for any of your decisions, and make your own.
Exactly right.
Consult with your lawyer, consult with your accountant.
Not recommended. Don't take my advice. This is just something that I experienced and it worked. Yeah.
But a lot of people have impressions about South America in general, and you've done some traveling around South America. The impressions that people in the United States have is it's dangerous. And I think it's dangerous because of cartels, drugs, and because of human trafficking. And then also just petty theft, like robberies on the street. And what can you say about that? I'm sure all of South America can't be the same in that respect. I'm sure it's worse in some areas and better in some areas. And there's always the tourist places. Of course, those are probably, a little better. But what's your take? You've been there for so long.
It's a great question. And a lot of people ask me that question. In terms of theft, I've seen once or twice. It's a common thing. The scooters, the motorbikes, if a person's walking along the street and they're talking on their phone, it's a common thing that they can steal the phone. I've seen that twice happen. You just have to be smart. Don't take your phone out on the street. Like, I think Kris and you and I took our phones out on the street several times. But if you really want to be 100% be careful, better not to take your phones out in the street. Which is something that you and I take for granted in the USA and Australia.
Yeah.
Here, don't do it. Yeah,
but I don't think it's only the US and Australia. I think most of Europe.
You're right.
Even like when I lived in Russia, I had absolutely no fear of that. Like maybe if I was in the worst part of the city or something, like, and I'm afraid of more than just losing my phone already, then maybe in that situation they could take my phone. But like just walking down the street, normal day, no, there's no fear of that in Russia. Of walking with the phone, okay, talking, okay, yeah. I was surprised when I got there, but so like that, it's good to be aware of that. I feel like when you go somewhere.
Definitely. Yeah, that's the number one rule. Don't take your phone out on the street in Argentina, because that's one of the common things that happens with the phones. They steal the phone. Just be street smart in that way. The other things that you mentioned, you said the cartel, and what else did you mention, Kris?
Human trafficking.
Your question about human trafficking. To be honest, I don't know much about that. I haven't heard any of that happening here in Cordoba, and I don't know much about that. Not from what I know, it's been happening, but it doesn't seem like in the news that I know of, it doesn't seem like a big thing here. Thank God. Yeah, yeah.
And when you traveled to other countries, you said you were in Colombia and where else?
Went to Colombia, went to Brazil, traveling around. And you're asking about that, human trafficking and those things,
Just about safety overall. Like how do you feel these places are?
To be honest, I was really scared about going to Brazil because I'd heard those same things that you were mentioning about it's really dangerous, there's gangs, but when I got there in Rio de Janeiro, when I arrived, I got off the bus and I was like holding my backpack, going, "Okay, when are they going to steal something?" And then I realized, wait a second, look at everyone just walking around having fun, and it wasn't bad at all. So this bad idea of people, like I suppose, murdering, stealing, it wasn't bad at all, Kris, in Brazil and in Rio de Janeiro. And I spent the whole week basically going to the carnival, coming back at 3:00 in the morning, and had no problems at all walking back in the middle of the center of the city. Colombia had no problems at all as well. So I think it's just like what you were saying, Kris, if you're a positive person too, I think you attract that as well, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But in Colombia and Brazil, I had no problems. It was all fine. Like when I met people, I thought they had good intentions, and it worked out well. Yeah.
Let's back up because you said something about teaching Italian.
Yes, I was teaching Italian.
So tell us a little bit more about that, because your story isn't only about Australia and South America, right? It goes a little deeper.
Yeah.
So share that little chapter with us too.
Okay. Yeah. So at university, this would have been 13 years ago, I think now, or 14 years ago. I started teaching at the university. Sorry, I started taking courses at university. I started learning German. That was my first year learning German.
And your university? Which university?
That was in Armidale in Australia, which is basically 6 hours north of Sydney. And I basically didn't know what to do when I was 19 years old. I came back after a year of working and traveling in London. This is what I did after school. I went to London and went to work to find a computer job there. I came back. I said to my father, "Dad, what should I do now with my life?" Dad said, "Try uni. Go to university." And I thought, okay, what do I study? And my sister said, "Do a Bachelor of Arts, Daniel. That's the broadest thing you can do." And when I was there enrolling, Kris, I saw it said exchange program, German, 1 year free accommodation if you if you do study German. I was like, okay, I love traveling, might as well study German. So I studied German, and that's when I did that for 1 year at the university because I didn't know what to study. I studied German, psychology, and a few other things that were interesting. And I went to the second year. I went to Austria, where I went to Graz, the same city Arnold Schwarzenegger was born in, the second largest city in Austria. And that was one of the greatest years of my life, exchange programs, speaking German. I was a waiter in a bar, speaking German, and had met some great people. It's all about the people. I'm sure you'd agree, Kris, when you travel, it's all about those people you meet and the connections you make. So learning German, speaking German with my friend, I met a Russian guy, and we became really good friends. And after that, I came back to Australia, and I thought, now what do I do? Okay, I'm going to go back to uni again, continue studying German. But I thought, I might as well study Italian as well. So there I started studying Italian language, and I had the opportunity to travel the following year to Italy on
Wow.
another exchange program. So that's when I went to Italy and I started teaching English. That was the first year where I started teaching English in Italy. And that made me with all those languages, German, Spanish, Italian and Spanish. So I'm going to go those 4 languages. Yeah. And that was an amazing experience for me to be in Italy. I was near Florence on the East Coast, a small town called Macerata. It was like a classic Italian town. And I loved it, but I didn't feel the need to stay too long. I stayed there for 3 years. That's where I started teaching English. I got the confidence to teach English.
Some people
And
would say 3 years is a long time.
yeah, I suppose so. I suppose so. I'm comparing to 10 years here now in Argentina. But you're right. I suppose it was a long time. So, but I loved Italy, but I wouldn't recommend living there for too long. It's great to visit, to travel. Why I say that? It's very disorganized, backward, and there's lots of corruption there as well, similar to Argentina. But it's a great city, a great country for food and for different, like the beach and everything to visit. But to live there is a different thing. Yeah.
So how do you
Italy.
think Argentina compares to, Austria and Italy in terms of, I mean, we talked about safety already, so I guess we could talk about that too. In terms of safety, how do they compare? But also, how do they compare in other ways that people might not be thinking? Because Austria, Italy, these are European countries, and that has a certain level of appeal tourists, right?
Yes, definitely. Austria, in comparison to Argentina, they're very different opposites here. You've got Austria is very organized. It's all correct and everything works perfectly. It's very efficient. You've got the beautiful landscape with the mountains, and it's very different. I'd say obviously the economy is much better and the politics are less corrupt as well. So it's a great place to live, Austria, very stable in terms of the economy, and great people, really friendly people as well. And so it's a great place to live, but it's not as crazy, chaotic as Argentina. And I kind of like that crazy adventure, chaotic type life, because it keeps it interesting, keeps it stimulating. It's not in a box, organized, always the same, That's what I felt in Australia a little bit, Austria a little bit. Italy is where things got interesting, where it was very chaotic, like here. Crazy. They're not logical people. They're very passionate, like Latino type passion, feeling, and really, that's what I fell in love with Italy, the people like that. And had a lot of fun. They're very spontaneous people, like here in Argentina. You say, let's meet for a coffee. Let's do this now. You ask anybody, Kris, in Argentina or Italy, what are you doing this weekend? And we're saying it's Friday, right? It's Friday. It's the day before the weekend. What are you doing? So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. They can't make a decision. They've got so many options, and they just let it happen last minute. So everything's spontaneous, adventure, and no one knows what's happening. There's no planning like there are in Austria. So I love that fun. It's very spontaneous type of life, and it's exciting and stimulating. Yeah, and you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, which is fun. Yeah, if you know what I mean. But Italy is very similar to Argentina in terms of the corruption, the politics, the disorganization. It's backward. Obviously, Argentina is more third world. The economy is worse here with the peso, Argentinian pesos. And I'm not sure if you're aware, Kris, but the inflation here in Argentina is the third worst in the world.
Wow.
Venezuela number one, and then there's a place in Africa, and there's Argentina's number three. So it's 100% inflation every year, which is huge. 7% a month going up, 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 up. It's just so. Just to give you an idea, Kris. When I first arrived here 10 years ago, it was 5 pesos for $1. Now it is 500. 500. So we're talking 500 pesos for $1. So
wow.
You can
and to put that in context, how much does a liter of milk or like a liter of Coca-Cola or something that people buy all the time, how much does that cost?
That's a good question. Yeah, I think I'm not buying milk, so I haven't bought milk for a while. But
something you buy all the time.
Yeah, something I buy all the time.
But something that everyone buys around the world.
Yeah, like a bottle of water is 200 pesos. 200 pesos.
Okay.
And so, which is 500 pesos is $1. So we're talking 40 cents, right?
Yeah.
40 US cents for a bottle of water. How much is a bottle of water in the USA? If you buy 500 ml in the kiosk?
Probably more than $1, $1.50, $2.
Yeah. Okay. So it's a little bit more. But the rent here, for example, Kris, I'm staying in a penthouse apartment, beautiful. I pay $100 a month at the moment, which is amazing. Yeah. So that the rent's really cheap. And what else can I give you an idea?
That's crazy. $100 a month is really good, I think.
Really good. Yeah. Like, is it true in the New York, Kris? Some people are paying like $3,000 or $4,000 for an apartment a month. Is that really true?
It's insane, man. Some people rent like mansions for $10,000 a month or $20,000 a month.
My God, 100. So, guys, there's a massive comparison there. I'm living in a beautiful city here, like on the penthouse with a massive balcony in the center, $100 in comparison to 5,000, which is just mind-blowing stuff.
I live in Tampa, Florida. It would be at least $2,000 a month to rent like a penthouse apartment downtown.
Okay.
Just a regular
apartment.
And 2,000 is on the cheap side. Like that would be lucky. You're probably looking at 3,000.
Wow. So, Kris, that's another thing we can get to in this meeting. If you can work online, living here, man, you can live like an absolute king. It's so, and it's a fun city, fun people. So
and if anybody listening wants to find out more about that, definitely contact Daniel after this.
Yeah, guys, if you're interested, I'm happy to give you information about living here and how to do it, and the fun it is. Like I'm having so much fun here, Kris. What I tell people always, Kris, I've got a band where I sing. I've got an event on Friday and Saturday night. It's called Speakeasy. 200 people come Friday and Saturday. When Kris came, it was just one night, but now there's such a high demand to do it Saturday too. So did it Saturday. Now there's 200 Friday, 200 Saturday.
Wow.
So this is an amazing event where people meet and exchange languages, but basically language exchange.
Yeah, and I don't speak Spanish. So when I went there, I actually remember the first night that we got to Cordoba, you were feeling really sick still. And so like the event is going on and you can go there. And I walked over to it and I met people there and spoke English with them. And the whole 2 weeks that I was there, I kept in contact with those people.
That's right. You were inviting your friends over to your apartment. I said, Kris, how did you meet these people? I met them at Speakeasy. That's right. Yeah.
So that event really works.
That's awesome. Yeah. So I've got the band, I've got the event, I've got the school, we've got about 400 to 500 students at the moment. We've got about 46 teachers going, all online. Kris was a big inspiration to me as well with that, to grow it. He taught me a lot of things. So thanks to Kris, I was able to grow it in a big way. I remember before I met Kris, I had about 69. I was always stuck on this weird number. What a strange number, Kris, 69. I had 69 students on average over the whole year for 2 years. But then when I started learning some things off Kris, I was able to suddenly explode the school.
So tell us more about the music career, though. So you have a band there.
Ah,
How long have you
yeah.
been with those guys? And what kind of music is it?
Yeah, so with the band, it's been about 8 years. We're doing rock and roll music, so the classic stuff: Bon Jovi, the Beatles, Rolling Stones, Satisfaction. And the funny thing is, Kris, I never considered myself as a singer or anything like that. But when I first got,
You're definitely an entertainer. Come on.
maybe just doing it got the practice, but basically what I did was I always wanted to own a hostel. So when I first got here, Kris, I bought a hostel, a small share, 20%, wasn't much, a few $1,000s, and I was a share for a year. And one of my business partners who I'd gone into the hostel with, he was playing the guitar one day. I still remember this day. He was playing guitar in the reception area of the hostel. And he said, one day I'm going to make a band. I said, you know what? I've always wanted to sing in a band. He goes, let's do it. Like he was this Israeli guy and he just said, let's do it. I learned a lot from him as well, just about let's do it now. And I said, what do you mean let's do it? And he goes, let's do it right now. I said, what do you mean? And our other friend was there with us who played the drums. And he said, let's do it now. And I was like, but how? And he said, well, get the bongo drum in the sitting room of the hostel. Our drummer can play that. You take a pen, put the pen in your hand. We'll put a song on, a karaoke song that you know, that we all know, and I'll play the guitar. I was like, this is crazy, but all right. Like, this is way out of my comfort zone. But I thought, wait a second. I'm here in Argentina. If I stuff up, if I fail, I can always run home. Like here is a bit of like a playland, dreamland where I can just experiment, right? If I ruin myself here, I can just escape and go back to Australia. So I thought this is my mentality for doing things. Kind of. I didn't care. Okay, if I fail, I'll fail. Whatever. So we sang a song, "Creep." Creep was one song that we all know. I'm a creep. So we started singing it, and that was the first time we did it together in the hostel, in the reception area. A girl actually filmed it. We still got the video, and that's how we started the band. And with owning the hostel, Kris, we had the power of the foreigners there. We made an event. Let's do an event with the band playing. We did covers of Arctic Monkeys. Let's make it an Arctic Monkey tribute this Friday night. So we had like 6 days to practice. I learned all those songs. It was an absolute disaster, Kris. Disaster. Failure. We failed. Like everyone said, man, you got to learn how to sing. When we were there about to play, Kris, the night of about to play, my drummer said, Daniel, I've forgotten the sticks to play the drums. And I was like, man, and we've got people upstairs, 200 people upstairs. Come on, play. And we're like, what do I do? I said, wait. So I ran down to the kitchen. I found 2 big spoons, a fork and a spoon for a salad. I said, and I ran up to my drummer and said, man, this is the best I could do. And he was like, oh, great. He was playing with a fork and a spoon. And I was singing words. I was forgetting the words. And God, it hurt. So God, this is a great lesson, Kris. If you start something you've never done before, you're going to suck. You're going to suck big time. But the trick is you just keep going. Now I'm playing 3 times a month in the biggest clubs in Cordoba with 2,000 people. And they said, Daniel, you're amazing. You're great. I stuffed up. No one saw how bad I stuffed up. But because I kept on going and I didn't care, I got better and I got better and I got better, took lessons. And now it's working fine. The band's going great. So
And that's the
Persistence.
attitude that people need to take with learning English.
Exactly right. You can fail 1,000 times, doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Exactly.
Continue. Persistence is the key. You'll get there. Exactly right. Make a fool of yourself. You're gonna make a fool of yourself. Stuff up big time. Accept it. Move on. Next. Move
Yep.
on. Fail. Next. It's how you take it. Yeah.
Absolutely. So tell us about the hat.
So I bought this hat in Australia, and I just like the hat, Kris.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it like an Australian cowboy hat, or
No, not a real cowboy hat. Where I'm from, where I'm not on the farm in Gunnedah near Sydney, is where I'm from, and I'm actually from the farm. And this wouldn't be a normal cowboy hat. It's actually a bit of a stylish hat, and yeah, but not the typical cowboy hat from Australia. Yeah, but I go to the events, I teach with this hat, and now people are starting to get to know. Oh, it's the Australian with the cowboy hat. So I'm
yeah,
kind of filling
building a
in that
persona?
role. Yeah, exactly. And now I wear it to the events, and you're the Australian. You look like an Australian with that hat. I go, well,
Now you
like the
just need to
Crocodile
whip
Dundee.
crocodile.
Exactly. Whip with a knife, crocodile, the whole lot.
So what are some of
Yeah.
the weird stereotypes or strange questions that people ask you because you're from Australia? Because I imagine, because Argentina and Australia are pretty far apart, that they don't meet a lot of Australians in Argentina. So what are some of the things that come up when you meet people?
Mm. Good question. Yeah, there's a lot of people that the first thing they always say to me, Kris, what are you doing here? You're in the middle of the country. There's no beach here. Cordoba's in the center of Argentina. There's corruption. The average wage, Kris, just to go back to that, is $200 a month. $200 a month. Just to give you an idea. So everyone is getting out of here. Everyone's going to Australia. Everyone I meet, I'm going to Australia. Next year, I'm going to go to Australia. Or next year, I want to go to the USA. They're all traveling. So the first thing, Kris, they always say, what are you doing here in this corrupt place with all these problems that they complain about? Why are you here? And I always tell them, because I love the people. This is the common answer. I love the people, and I just love being here. And that's one of the things they always say. And they always ask me where I'm from, how long have I been here. The typical thing they always say, you have big snakes, you have big spiders in Australia. How many sharks have attacked you? Man, I've never seen a shark in my life. It's like saying, oh, you dance tango, right? You dance tango. You're from Argentina. You dance tango? They're like, no. Well, it's the same for Australia. This is stereotype. There's no big snakes in Australia. Like I'm from a farm where there's snakes everywhere. I've seen 5 snakes in my whole life. Not a big deal. Like you see them for a second on the road and they run across and you never see them again. Spiders, there's some big spiders. I'm saying a spider would be the size of my hand here, like that size. And they're not the big hairy things, just tiny spiders.
But what you just showed me, that looked like a big spider to me. Because
Did it really? Okay.
the spiders that I'm used to seeing are like this big.
Yeah, okay. But I suppose they're very thin, like really thin, if you know what I mean. They're not the big, scary funnel webs that you see in the documentaries. So they're thin and long. They don't scare. Or maybe I'm just used to it. I don't know, because I grew up with it. But that's a common thing, Kris. They always ask about the animals, the dangerous animals. And it's not that bad at all, to be honest with you, in Australia.
Aren't there some dangerous animals in Argentina too?
They've got the puma, which is like a big cat. And that's around the farm areas around Cordoba. And they often have problems with the pumas taking the sheep. So that's something that's the scariest animal, I think. They don't really have big spiders or snakes. I've maybe seen 1 or 2 snakes here, but the puma is probably the most dangerous. And I think there's 1 or 2 stories of them attacking small, like a child, maybe once or twice, but other than that, there's no dangerous animals here. Other than that, yeah.
So, you know, a lot of people
Yeah.
have fear of moving to a foreign country because they think that they're just going to stick out as this foreign person and everyone's going to hate them because they're different. And, you know, they have some ideas like this. You and I have both been in that situation where we've been the foreigner in another country, in multiple countries. And, you know, in the beginning, you don't know anything. So you are a stupid foreigner. And but after some time, you become the foreigner and you get to capitalize on that, right? And so a lot of people kind of miss out on that benefit, I feel like, because they get discouraged in the initial stages where, you know, it's uncomfortable. What do you think? What is it like just being a foreigner amongst people who are different and they live a different way and they think a different way?
I think I feel very special, Kris, and that's one of the ththings why I might like it here so much, because I'm different. I'm the minority. I'm not the majority. When I go back to Australia, just everyone's Australian, you know. So there's this special feeling, and especially you mentioned, Kris. You said that people might hate me because I'm a foreigner. It's entirely the opposite. They love you because you're a foreigner. They say, wow, where are you from? Wow, you speak in English. It's like they've got this idea about English-speaking countries that you're like, I don't know, from the films, from Hollywood, famous. So they've got this really positive, economy's working, it's safe, the dream, you know. So they see you, oh my God, but they really friendly to you here. I'm sure you experienced it yourself, Kris. Like everyone, you felt a little bit famous. Well, you are famous, but you felt like very special here, right? Because everyone was just wanted to talk to you and they're really polite. So I'm sure you felt the same. Yeah.
Yeah. In Argentina, I definitely felt that. But what do you think about back in Australia, though? How did they feel about foreigners?
Australia, how do they feel about foreigners in Australia? The Australian people?
I mean, we can't generalize about all people, right? I'm sure there's people on different sides and whatnot, but you know, if we had to make a general statement, because the people who are listening here, a lot of them are students and they might be considering moving to United States, Australia.
Very accepting in Australia. We're very multicultural now, and very open, and people are curious and friendly in Australia. If you go to Australia, people will be very curious and they'll be asking you questions. And we had a few cases in the past. Some people have the idea that Australians are racist because we had a few incidents where some bad things happened. How can I tell you about that? It's basically we had a few gangs who got racist towards some Asian people, and there were like 2 incidences, and that exploded into a big thing that we are racist in a way. But it's not like that at all, guys. We are very friendly, curious, and Australia is one of the most multicultural populations in the world, because they're letting in about, I think it's every month, a crazy number, 100,000 people into Australia now, because they're so desperate for people. They need workers. They need people to work in Australia. The population is only like 26 million in Australia. And for the size of it, it's almost the same size as the USA. It's huge. So they're letting in 100,000 a month. So you can imagine in a few years' time, Australia's just growing a lot. So it's very acceptable, the different cultures now. It's getting really open about everything, getting much better. And people are curious about foreigners, friendly.
Yeah. I think everywhere you go, there's different kinds of people, but a lot of people forget that Australia is the 6th biggest country in the world, I think.
It's enormous. It's 3 times bigger than Argentina. So, you know, Argentina is quite big.
Right.
3 times the size. If you fly from the Sydney to Perth, the two distant cities in Australia, it takes 6 hours to fly over the whole of Australia. I've met truck drivers who drive across Australia. It takes 1 week, and then
Wow.
1 week to drive back. They say goodbye to their wife for 2 weeks. Sorry?
How many time zones are there? 3?
I think I'm not too sure, but I think you might be right, Kris. Three time zones, yeah. But very different, and Australia is one of the, like everyone talks about, Australia is one of the best places in the world to live, and it's been voted that way in terms of the beaches, the friendly people, the weather, the economy. You can make a lot of money there. I remember when I was at university, I was washing dishes, and on a Sunday, I'd make $23 an hour washing dishes, just singing there, washing dishes. I was very happy. Twice a week, I'd go and wash dishes in the restaurant, listening to music. And that's how I saved up to travel. Just working in a restaurant, earning $23 an hour. That's
And
probably before.
That was back how long ago?
Yeah, that was back.
So now imagine what that would be.
Exactly. Yeah. Now
Probably
more. Yeah.
$50 an hour or something.
Yeah, 25, 30, maybe even higher. Yeah. So remember, guys, when I say dollars, it's less than US dollar. So if you say 10 US dollars, probably seven Australian dollars, to give you an idea of the currency with USA dollar and Australian dollar. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's still decent.
The money question is always interesting when we talk about Argentina, because you have this system there of exchanging money. So like if you go to the bank, it's different from, and then you can't even exchange money in some places. And so sometimes it's a challenge. Share a little bit about that.
How can I explain it to you? So the banks officially have, I'll give you an example to understand. So when I say 500 Argentinian pesos for $1 US, that is the blue rate. What does that mean? That is the rate you go and change money on the street in the black market. It sounds scary. It's not. There's official offices that do it. And it's like you can't do it, but you can. It's if you come here, you'll understand that.
So the biggest question is, how do you find them then? How do you find these places?
It's very easy, Kris. If you go to any main plaza, like main square, we call them, there are people calling out cambio. As you know, that means change. So anywhere in the center, Buenos Aires, if you go to the main plaza, you say cambio, donde es cambio? You can, they'll point you in the right direction, but it's in the main squares of the city, the main cities, and it's everywhere. There's guys out on the street going cambio. They basically get a small commission, and they walk you literally 50 meters to an office where they change the money there, and the guy gets 2% or 5%. So if you hear guys, try to, when people are saying cambio, try to go directly to the office and not with the people, because they get a commission. But it's a tiny commission anyway. But so, and then there's an official rate, just to give you an idea. If you go to a bank, it's 300 pesos for $1 US. So you can see the huge difference there, guys. It's like, what is it, 60% more? You get more money. You get 60% more money if you go to the black market and change in dollar blue.
That's what everybody
going to an official bank. Yeah.
That's what everybody does, probably.
Yeah, the majority do that. Yeah. So yeah, you ask yourself, why would you go to a bank and do it? I suppose it's safer, and you're 100% guaranteed the notes are going to be real. So if you go do it, guys, just to be 100% sure, maybe you can take one of those pens that there's markers you get, and you can mark the dollar bills to make sure they're real. I've never, Kris, saying this scares people. Oh my God, they can give me fake. It's never happened to me in 10 years. I've never been given a fake bill. Actually, now I think about it, I might have happened one time in a bar maybe, but never when I changed the money. Just so you know, it's not a big deal to change money on
Daniel, I think that all of these insights that you've shared with us today are super useful for people who are traveling to other countries and who are thinking about going places. It was really motivating how you talked about not giving up and, you know, looking like a fool, but then recovering and making progress after that. And you gave a lot of examples. So thank you so much for taking the time to have this chat today, and tell everybody where they can find you.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, thanks, Kris. At the moment, we've got an Instagram channel, guys. You can find us on Instagram. It's called English Native OK, all one word, English Native OK. We've got about 53,000 followers there. That's where we get a lot of our students come from there. And so I see myself as a bit of an influencer, I can say.
Yeah, definitely.
Come on, Kris. Yeah. And
you influenced me.
Yeah. So we've got Instagram, English Native OK, all one word, guys. You can follow us there. Great entertaining videos, teaching English, do some crazy stuff there as well. And we've got a YouTube channel as well, which is English Native. You can find it on the Instagram there. Yeah, so, and with the website is called English Native in Company as well. You can find the website there. And we're teaching lots of companies at the moment, software development companies, about 12 different companies. It's a huge need because you can imagine the people who work here, it's very cheap labor for other countries. So the USA is basically employing lots of companies here to do a lot of website graphic work and software development. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll make sure to put all the links in the description under the video, under the podcast, so everyone can find you. Thanks again for taking the time to have this call, man.
No, man, thanks for the invitation. I really appreciate it, Kris. And thanks for the opportunity to share the story. Love it. Thanks,
it's a great story. Everybody has to hear it.
Thank you for tuning in to English World with Kris Amerikos. Now it's your turn. Don't just listen to English, speak English with us every day. Join our English Everyday speaking program today. See you in the next episode. Bye-bye.